And here we are, people. Here we are, another Under the Lens, and I'm very, very happy finally to get my brother Tony from Hammers Football TV. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on Views. I'm looking forward to this one as well, I must admit.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And let me give you the welcome air horn over on Views on Sport. Yeah, man, brilliant. Thanks for coming on. Definitely been looking forward to this one. And as I say to most of the people that come on for this, it's your show on my platform. But I will obviously be asking you a few questions, mate, because obviously I want to know what's going on in the world of West Ham. But before we start, I usually just ask people their first exposure to the club, you know, good memories, bad. Yeah, I usually start with that. So what's your kind of first exposure to the club? Some good memories and some bad.
Now you're going to see my age now. Yeah. So my kind of first exposure was back in 81 when obviously West Ham won the FA Cup against a certain team, similar to the badge over your left shoulder, basically. Yeah, I remember, East Ham High Street by the Town Hall, the open top bus. There they are, all celebrating, and there's me sitting on top of a post box watching it all go by, kind of thing. Yeah, that's my kind of first experience of my dealings with West Ham.
Brilliant. And obviously I'm an Arsenal fan, as we all well know. Like, what's, from a West Ham fan, your point of view, what's the kind of current affairs at the club? Where do you think the club's at? What's the goals for West Ham United?
That's a weird one in itself. I mean, when you think about it, we've gone through the Lopetegui thing after Moyes, and then we've got Potter in. We've seen some madness on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of saying the substitutions in the second half were questionable. It seems like he was holding out for a 1-0 win. 1-0 don't get you nothing these days. We haven't got the squad for that, for one.
Right.
But in general, there's a lot of things been going on. You think the last summer window, we had Steiden that was doing all the transfer business along with Sullivan. And then it turns out that all these players that we bought, they weren't as good as they looked. There's only a select few that kind of really came out on it. So Steiden's now gone. He's now got this McCauley fella in, which has obviously worked with Potter before at Chelsea. But even now, and this is where it just shows you how bad the club's got. Sullivan has, he brings this man in, and then turns around and says, "I've got no confidence in this guy either. So really? I'm going to do all the business. I'm going to do all the transfer business." Yeah. So in the summertime, he's going to deal with all the transfers. So it's not good. Put it this way.
Right. And how was he kind of, obviously, like I said, I don't delve into, the West Ham transfer news or anything. I was very impressed with last summer, lots of players bought in. I thought, Man United the same. I thought, you two teams might do a little something a bit more this season. How was he, what's the history with him? Do you feel like he's gonna push West Ham on to be a little bit more, or do you think he's just happy to coast?
I mean, with Sullivan, the worst part about it is he's very close guarded. So he doesn't always like to reveal things, and this is the worst part about it. I mean, we've got his name's got to be Kretinsky, Daniel Kretinsky. He's the second main shareholder at the club,
right?
But he owns Sparta Prague. So of course he can't do too much because of the dual ownership thing. But for me, the main thing is why he's here, and he's already done it now. He's just bought the post office, so his money's been. That's where his main thing is, I think.
Wow.
And the worst part about it is, even though he's a billionaire, it's his missus that pulls all the strings. She's like 3 times more than what he is.
Jesus.
So
Jesus.
it's one of the, and of course David Gold passed away. So his daughter Vanessa she's the kind of next kind of shareholder. She's not really bothered.
No.
So yeah, it's in the board level, it's a bit of a kind of mess. Sullivan runs it basically, pure and simple.
Right.
And obviously, he wanted Lopetegui. Everyone was kind of questioning it, but he wanted him. Apparently, he's had his eye on him for like 6 months previous. This was even when Moyes was in charge. So that's kind of naughty in itself.
Mm.
And then of course, in comes Lopetegui, and yeah, clueless. I watched one press conference of Lopetegui's, and even I'm thinking to myself, I have no idea what this man's saying. If I've got no idea what these players thinking.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you, mate. I mean, you've heard me go on about it a million times. I feel the same with Arteta. I just wish he'd say the right things, but it's always a million different other things. So if it was up to you, then Tone, what 3 things would you change at West Ham if you could? If you had the magic wand, you 3 big things that you change at the club.
I think the main thing more than anything else is actually have a football stadium. That's the key thing. The London Stadium, it's our home at the moment, but really, is it designed as a football stadium? No, it's not. So this is the problem we've had. And of course, the worst part about it, not being funny, just like when you move from Highbury to the Emirates, you were sold this dream down the river. We're going to be this and the other. We're going to compete for this. We're going to be with this. We're going to match these teams in Europe and blah, blah, blah. And for us, we was also promised that the seats would be as close to the pitch like they are at Upton Park.
Right.
You're way over there.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
So you're kind of like, yeah. If you're up in the gods, then yeah, you've got no chance.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
So the worst part about it is the seats are there. The retractable seats are there.
Mm.
It's just the fact that apparently the firm that kind of put them in, they went bust, and they've stayed there ever since.
Jesus. See, these are the things you don't know. Like I said, I've been there a couple of times with Philosophy Football to do. I think it was I don't know. I don't think it was a test. It was a Mark Noble game. I won't say. Was it a testimony? I don't know. We had to do the Noble and number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we do all the flags and the patterns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it was a nice stadium. When I was actually in there, it's a lot easier to work than Wembley. It looks like you got like a little. Is it like a little beer garden? Like,
yeah, they got something going on outside,
like above the goal or something like that, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, well, that's just basically where the screens are.
Yeah.
No one's got, there's some flat areas, but other than that, yeah, you're literally kind of, you've got a seating area that comes down towards the pitch level. Then you've got a flat area, and then of course then you go up to the next seating level and so on. So yeah, it's not good. And the worst part about it, I mean, I've been over there when they first moved in there, and you're watching your own fans fight each other.
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't the same. And okay, with Moyes being in charge, the 3 seasons, when you think we get the European football,
yeah,
there was a little bit more harmony, especially the fact that the year we won it.
Yeah.
That kind of brought fans together.
Of course.
But we're still seeing the same thing.
Yeah. Groundhog Day, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So you're saying the stadium, that would obviously be the first kind of big thing. Let's get into number 2. If you had your magic wand, Tone, you're sorting out the stadium, what will be the next move?
I think the next move, obviously, same problem we've got. We've got the old Ford's ground at Rush Green, massive, so we need better training facilities. That's one key thing. And obviously the last thing, which every club basically needs, is good investors. You
Yeah, yeah, good investors, definitely. Because, like I said, man, you and Man United were kind of like, I was thinking, wow, man, like we're literally doing nothing. We're going on the old summer trying to get a bloody defender and a midfielder that weren't even the best at Sociedad, you know. And you guys are going mad. Man United are going mad. I'm thinking, wow, like, you know, you guys are gonna try and push on. Obviously, sometimes it never works like that. It's football. But like I said, I mean, what, you know, as a fan, is there any kind of silver lining? Is there any goals? Is there anything that you're trying to push to? Any process? Do you know what I mean?
I suppose what you know, he's with you now. I mean, the one good thing that came out of when we got, you know, when Moyes went and of course Lopetegui was Rice moving on. You know, no one really wanted him to go, but at the same point, you know, players have only got a short span in football. And I always say, look to play to the highest level. I'm not saying that you guys are the highest level, no disrespect. But at the same point, what was good for our thing was we got good money for him. And that's something that we've lost out over so many seasons. I mean, when you think about, you know, the likes of Frank Lampard Jr., you know, the Joe Coles, the Rios, the Michael Carricks, the Joe Coles, Glenn Johnsons, all these players went on for multi-million-pound.
Yeah.
The sad part about it was there was no sell-on clauses, so they moved on to another club. So, for instance, Rio Ferdinand, Leeds, Man United, we didn't get nothing out of that. Michael Carrick moving on, we didn't get nothing out of that.
Right.
So when you look at the Rice situation, everyone's moaning 105 million. Oh no, that's too much for a one player. He's not worth that. He's not worth that. If you look at this season, how he's playing, and especially them 2 free kicks he got against Real Madrid, we can turn and say, hello, we was we're a little bit shortchanged here. And Moyes said this as well. That's the funny part about it. You know, 150 million. That's what he.
Okay. Well, I mean, you had Arsenal fans all over the place saying, you know, we've only paid half price and things like that. So maybe he had a point, but I didn't know that was the rhetoric. Obviously, like I said, I'm an Arsenal fan, so it's always good to hear from your perspective. Yeah, like I said, for us, obviously the goal is to try and win something finally. I mean, what would it be for you guys to consolidate top half, top 6? Is that, you know, is that asking too much?
Not at all. And I think it was. If you look at it on paper, like you said during the summer, with what we brought in on paper, it's a case of, whoa, you know what? We could be at, because the key thing, and there are quite a few West Ham channels were saying, with what we brought in, the goal is to be in the top 10. Yeah. If you do that, fine. You know, then we've achieved something, and then we work on it for the next season. The fact of, as I said, with Lopetegui, unfortunately, we saw a lot of disharmony. We got disjointed fans, kind of was basically in anger. Players, you could see the players. I mean, for us, that's a key one for us at the moment is Kudus. He's not played the same since this season with Lopetegui, and I still say it to this day. It was the Spurs game when he got sent off. That was him venting his frustration. Big up to Shane as well.
Big up.
For me, it was a case of, it was when, that was a frustration. And he turned up when we played you, the 1-0 result, etc.
Yep.
But it's no use turning up for one game. And then you're poor for the rest. And the worst part about it is, if he's looking to move on, we're now going to lose out on money on him, because no one's going to pay top dollar because of the way he's been playing so far, and the attitude as well.
Right. So he's probably like the main sellable asset. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Happy to see him go, or?
Well, the way he's played this season, most definitely. There's a lot of people saying, like, let's get rid. If we can get good money for him, take the money, cut your losses.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, because I mean, I mean, the last time I checked, he was valued. I think they were valuing him at 80 million. So I mean, even with a decline on that, you're probably looking at 50 million at worst case scenario.
Yep.
Just would you still think that's good money for him, or?
I suppose the way his season's been so far, you take that. You know what I mean? I mean, his release clause is £85 million.
Yeah.
And during the last summer window, teams had until the 1st of July to come in and put an offer.
Yeah.
No one came in.
I mean,
No
we
one.
was sorry to just jump in. We was scrimping, and I don't know what we were doing because I'm not being funny. I was calling for Kudus. I was saying, look, go and get him, go and get Isaac, go and get Elise, go and get Eze. Like, you know, just go and get these Premier League ready players for my team. But then and I thought we'd probably try to, if we were going to try and come and get him, we'd try the year too late, you know, because then he did go up to 80 or 85, as you said, and I think that probably scared off a few people, to be honest. But also there was talk that I heard about Kudus better on the right or the left, you say?
On the right.
On the right.
On the right. This is his key thing, and of course the biggest problem there. Who have you got also plays there? Obviously, it's Bowen. So that's that's our next biggest asset to sell is Bowen, and of course there's a lot of rumour going on there that there may be some teams that probably looking at him. If he's going to go is another thing. I mean, he signed a 7-year contract, so there's longevity in there, but money talks. Aaron, big up to yourself as well.
He's up.
When you look at something like that, does he want to become a legend, a West Ham legend, and stay there and do that, or is the case of, like Rice, does he want to be ambitious and actually kind of go on or try and win trophies with other, as a player? So we'll see on that one. But I think at the moment, I think he stays. I think Kudus definitely moves on. But there's a few other things going on. There's other teams. I mean, Alvarez, again, he looks like he could be on his way out.
Really?
So that's another one whose head's been turned.
And what do you think of Rice's move? Because I always like to hear from West Ham. You know, sometimes he gets a lot of boost. Other times he don't. You know, what's your standpoint on that?
I think if we go back in history, the typical one and he's still hated to this day, is Paul Ince. Yeah. Now he wanted to go and join Man United. Fair enough. No problem at all. But you don't kind of brandish their shirt and kind of big yourself up kind of thing, and you're still a West Ham player at this stage. Yeah. That's the wrong move. With Rice, there's a bit more etiquette there, a bit more maturity. Aces, there's a bit more maturity because at least that he did it the right way. When questions are asked, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say this and the other. There's a bit more respect, And the main thing when you look at it, you can tell still, he loves West Ham. He came from Chelsea as a youngster, come to us. We kind of then did what we did. And of course, he's then moved on. And I jokingly say this, but don't take it the wrong way. When he turns around and said he wants to go on to win trophies, and it's a case of
you going to Arsenal. Go on. Say what you say. Listen, this is your show, mate. Say what you want.
You just took the words out of my mouth, and it's a case of, do you realise? Have you realised what you've just said there? That's the kind of understatement of the season. I've gone there to win. I want to win trophies.
You go to Arsenal.
Don't go Arsenal then. Go other clubs where you're guaranteed something at least.
Yeah. No, listen.
It's no use having that. As always, unfortunately, what it's done to Arteta has done to fans over the last couple of seasons is just dangle that carrot in front of you, and you're all nibbling away and think to yourself, we can just, I can smell it, I can taste it, but whoop, final hurdle, and you're gone. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! No, listen, brilliant, man. And obviously, I'm going to get to your perception on Arsenal, but we'll leave that for just now. But yeah, listen, like I said, man, there ain't no disrespect, mate. I mean, you've heard what I think about the club. Obviously, definitely. It's my beloved Arsenal, but there's a million and one things we could be doing better. Do you know what I mean? Arteta's one of them. What he's doing with Declan is another. Do you know what I mean? Because what people fail to realize is making Declan not learn a new role, but make him play somewhere where he's not really. Do you know what I mean?
His
name.
He's a number 6.
Yeah,
he's a number 6. Yeah. It's pure and simple. Yeah. All right. He's carried the number right from West Ham to Arsenal. He's still wearing 41, but we know it's the number 6 role.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah, and Arsenal fans sometimes they're like, fucking like you've left West Ham now, because obviously when we play you lot, it's like, do you know what I mean? Especially that Bowen goal. when Wissa put it in, we're looking at Deckers like, bro, like you don't play for them anymore, mate. Like, do you want to put a challenge in? But no, it's always interesting to hear, and especially from a West Ham fan, because Arsenal fans, there's been big debate about it. Is he a 8? Is he a 6? Me personally, 8 or he just needs to be in a double pivot for me. Do you know what I mean? That's when you're going to get the best out of him. But yeah, brilliant. Obviously we're approaching the end of the season. I'm pretty sure you guys are safe. I haven't checked where you are in the table, so my apologies for that.
Lucky enough, we're still sitting. I do believe it's still 17th. Let me have a quick look for you. And if you look at it, and this is the kind of ironic thing about it all as well, views, is the fact that if it wasn't for the points that Lopetegui got the earlier part of the season, that literally has kept us up.
Ooh.
If it weren't for that, and that's kind of no doubt. Lopetegui's sitting there, feet up on the thing in that, and smoking the big fat cigar, thinking, "You're welcome.
You're welcome, mate."
welcome.
Yeah, they told me I couldn't do it. 17th was it?
So we're 17th. Yeah, we're on 36 points. You got Spurs on 37, and we've got them coming up as well. And then you got on 38 Everton, Man U, and Wolves.
Everton, Man U, and I tell you what, man. I mean, I think every team round about that kind of place is lucky that Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester have been been as bad as they have been. But yeah, season's pretty much done. You're pretty much safe. Transfers in the summer. Anyone that West Ham's got their eye on? I don't obviously do a transfer news for them. So give me your insights on what your plans might be in the summer, mate.
Well, you believe the kind of rumours that apparently Jonathan David is virtually kind of like, he's already kind of put virtually pen to paper.
Really?
If you believe the rumours, you know what I'm saying?
Why not?
And there's a couple of other players we're looking at as well. What's kind of caused uproar in certain respects is we're apparently going to look at Southampton and raid the coffers. Yeah, we're going to put the final nails in and that. So they're talking about getting Walker Peter Reid, the old right back.
Yep.
The youngster, I think is Dibble or whatever it is. They're up and coming. And then the worst one, which has kind of got people seething, is Ramsdale.
I don't know if you want to take on that mantle, mate. I'll tell you.
No. For me, the first thing I'll be doing in that, I'll be walking into Sullivan and I'll be saying, Keller all day long, please. I don't care what's going. Keller, he's the man.
Don't know what happened there, mate. Don't know what happened there. Internet being internet.
I did last night. Fun enough, did a show and he did exactly the same thing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. YouTube. Sorry, where was you, mate?
So yeah, I'll go out for Keller as a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Listen, Ramsdale, man. I don't know how he carries on getting clubs. To be honest with you, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Maybe he's been told with the Chelsea brush because they can always sell players quite well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, it's not great. I mean, obviously, you hear that we're getting linked with this person, that person, but seeing is believing. Seeing is believing.
Exactly.
Seeing is believing. All right. So I suppose you might as well move on then to your channel, what you're doing at the minute on YouTube, the kind of shows that you're putting together. Just a little bit about yourself, just for people that don't know.
So obviously, the main thing, 3 main shows. One on the Wednesday is basically an Arsenal fan, a Man United fan, and a West Ham fan. And we literally call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. So depending on how each team's doing, I just literally move the heads around depending on who you are, how you've been playing, kind of thing.
Brilliant.
And we just have a little kind of talk about our clubs, etc. And of course, the chat joins in, and we have good interaction and stuff like that. Last night is the West Ham review, so it's basically me and another West Ham man, or any West Ham fans that can come on. And we literally talk about our club and obviously the recent games and what's coming up, etc. And we also have a thing called Green Street Elites, where we look at former players of the club and we have a little kind of biography, or like a bit little biography on the player itself.
Yeah. I think I've seen the little clips of the videos put together and stuff on certain players. And who's the guy? Sorry if I'm being rude. I can't remember everyone's name. The guy that he's on there most of the time. He was the one actually in the videos with some of the, I think, West Ham players.
Budgie.
Oh, there you go. Budgie. Yeah. So I did see some of those clips. That's quite good as well. And also, I think you forgot. Did you mention the Sunday night takeaway?
No, that's the last thing. Obviously, is a Sunday night takeaway. So there, there. I mean, as I clearly state, you can see behind me, I'm obviously a West Ham fan. But the good thing about the Sunday night takeaway is the fact that it's about any walk of life coming on. Yeah, any opposition teams can come on. Let's talk about football. Just as like if we got to the pub, a club, whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're sitting down having the drinks. We're just talking about football and how the games went. Yeah.
Brilliant. But no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Like I said, I've come through there a couple of times, and like I said, the engagement's always great. Definitely doing big things on the road to 1K now, people. So if you are new and you ain't subscribed to Tony, make sure you're going over there and giving him a follow. Doing big things over there. So
before you carry on, I mean, obviously you do this one under the lens. I do one called Spotlight.
Oh, really?
Similar thing.
Brilliant. I don't think I've seen that one just yet.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a kind of hiatus on that, so I've got to kind of ramping that back up in that. But literally, I'll kind of reach out to any kind of content creators or even anyone in the chat that wants to come on.
Yeah, brilliant.
And like we're doing now, a little bit of a Q&A. I'll ask you a set of questions about yourself, why you support your club, and so forth.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I'll definitely look out for that. And obviously, I'm willing to jump on, whenever you need it. Obviously, I'm just doing this. Channel hasn't been going too long. Do you know what I mean? We're just trying to build everything up. And of course, I want to get a little bit of one-on-one time with people that I interact with quite regularly. So, always welcome to jump on the channel.
Absolutely.
Your perceptions of Arsenal, mate. And any Arsenal fans in the chat, listen up.
Before we carry on, I mean, obviously, AFC, always big up to yourself as always. I heard this early on at lunchtime of Conor Ben.
Was he talking about the fight? Sorry, I just kind of left the chat. I was going to get into the chat just a little bit later because obviously it's kind of about yourself. But as he mentioned something about the fight, I don't know.
Well, the thing like this one here, I mean, Eubank, all the kind of rah, and then suddenly it's like, yeah, your weight's not good.
I was watching a little bit yesterday on YouTube before I bloody went to bed at 4 o'clock in the bloody morning, and yeah, Conor Ben was kind of chiding him about his weight, and I thought, that's a bit of a rubbish comeback. Do you know what I mean? Because he was dominating the press conference. Eddie Hearn couldn't speak. Eddie Hearn tried to do the little substitution that never worked. So I was like, yeah, this is brilliant. I was loving it. And then I don't know, he kind of seemed a little bit stumped when that came up, and and he started to kind of get real life. And then today, to wake up and hear that he missed weight, was it by 5? I don't know.
It's literally half an ounce or something like that kind of thing.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, AFC pause. Yeah, half an ounce. That's it. Look, he's put it in the chat.
Oh, well, I won't read
it. And this is not the first one. He tried to do it again, and he still couldn't come down.
Jesus.
So yeah, you see, he's got this another nice little fine to pay off as well now.
Well, he offered to pay the 50 grand, because of the other card that got cancelled, because obviously Eddie Hearn was trying to move it on quickly. Oh, we got another night out, even though these guys have to pay for every training camp. So I thought that was a good gesture. Then he got fined the 100 grand for slapping the egg in Conor's face, right? Which I think that brought in, I don't know, at least 20-30% more interest in the fight, if I'm being, because that's when I locked in, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just like, and then he's trying to make this bet with Hearn, and now he's just been fined, obviously. But there weren't no belts on the line or anything like that, because I came away from boxing for a while. So obviously, if you're a little bit more clued in, then
I don't know if there's any belts. It's just the fact of all their kind of the dads, the big fight with the dads.
Yeah.
But, if you know, them fights back in the day, and that the WBO protected Eubank 100%.
Yeah,
that I was there for the first fight, him and Michael Watson.
Wow.
Michael Watson.
Wow.
Technical, gifted player, fighter, agile, nimble, eloquent, and yet the WBO, that's Eubank, and everyone's kind of saying, nah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was young at the time. Like, I remember them two fighting. I remember, my mum being very excited about it. I remember, everyone was talking about it. That was the kind of star power that these two had. And it seems like just from the press, obviously it is about these two, but then they always kind of revert to the dads, because that's the big draw, isn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, where I used to live in East Ham, literally 2 blocks away is where Nigel Benn lived.
Really?
Yeah. Because I mean, never forget.
Seeing
Because
out and about?
you know, when the length of the road I lived in, it was a nearly felt like 2.5 mile long road.
Fucking hell.
You could hear Ben a mile and a half away coming in with his stereo.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
And then from what was it? I think it was a Mercedes. He went on to Bentley Continental, Bentley Turbo. And I remember in the local newspaper, some guy walked past and smashed off the mirror.
Jeez.
Ben chased him halfway down the road, caught the man. And he said, all I did was slap him. The bloke's nose was...
Oh, yeah. All I did was slap him like professional boxer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I always remember. But the thing is, I didn't see too much because he was... I know he was a character, but it was all about Eubank back then because he was so bloody, mental and eccentric and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into the comments in a little bit. Let's round up with yourself, though, mate. Like I said, a West Ham fan, perception on my club. Let me know. And don't pull no punches, mate. It's your show.
So I remember because obviously I've done Sunday football, semi-pro football. I've even worked at West Ham for 2-3 seasons myself.
Ooh.
And I had a lot of people, a lot of my players, unfortunately, were West Ham fans. So it's okay. Sorry, an Arsenal fan. So
oh, really? Yeah.
And you had just moved from the Highbury to the Emirates kind of thing around that kind of time. And all of a sudden, like, so who do you support then? I said, let me give you a clue. Yeah. Who's the last team to beat you at Highbury and the first team to beat the Emirates?
Oh, look.
You hear the penny drop now. Oh, for F's sake. You're a Hammers fan, aren't you?
Hammers.
Oh, shit. And also, I suddenly go, well, you've just moved into this nice new stadium, haven't you? I went, yeah. And I said, when you look at the centre, halfway through where the seats are and that, you can see all these outline of all these trophies. And it goes trophy. And this is called 2000 and whatever it was. And then suddenly it goes, black.
It's the truth. It's only the truth.
This was the thing. You know what I mean? This was the thing. So when you look at Arsenal, I mean, back in the day, and that, look, everyone knows in certain respects, and don't take it the wrong way, and that's also to the Arsenal guys in the chat.
Don't pull no punch.
Arsenal have always had this arrogance about them, and unfortunately, back in the day, it was justified. But once the old tap started drying up, and you still have this arrogance and still saying we're a big club and all this stuff, you got to look at the fact of you had obviously George Graham. He then leaves. In comes Arsene Wenger, and he changes the strategy of the club, the health regime, the diet, and this and the other. And everyone's saying, "Well, this is new. This, we've never seen this kind of thing before." And that, and of course, he starts winning a couple of things. But of course, the players then were George Graham players. They start to age, they start to drop off, and then you start seeing the cracks in the new Arsenal team, and people can't understand what's going on, kind of thing. Then, of course, Wenger then goes. You get Unai Emery, and of course, everyone's good evening. Oh, well, this man can't speak. He can't do this and the other. Blah blah blah. And then before you know it, it's a case of well, he needs to go. And then your former player comes in as manager, and everyone's kind of like, okay, why are you bringing in someone who's got no experience, not done this and the other? Oh, I know why. Because Man City said he's the best coach we've ever seen. And of course, well, it must be the case then.
Yeah.
Sign this paper. You're hired. Yeah. And of course, he wins the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And I've got to say it. Don't forget two other trophies. Well, the Community Shields. Two trophies. Don't forget.
Oh, no punches, mate.
Two trophies.
Two trophies, yeah. He's got 3.
Even my brother-in-law, he's an Arsenal fan, and he also calls them. AFC always knows who he is as well, and he calls them trophies as well. And it's like, no, man,
no way,
And again, what Emery brought in, that kind of starts to tail off again, and then we see this kind of the downhill trend of Arsenal and dipping down in the league. But you got to, I wouldn't say I'll give him too much credit, because for me, as much as people were saying, well, Arsenal's changed the team and now they're kind of finishing second, I do question if it's actually him. For me, I'd say it's more the players that dictate what they do on the pitch rather than him telling them what they're going to do. Not being funny, you've probably seen it yourself, that documentary. That documentary, that was kind of hunting season for any non-Arsenal fan to find their friends and saying, have you seen that idiot and the things he's coming out with? Bringing out light bulbs and telling you all this. And the best part about it, you see the camera pan around that dressing room and you can see the kind of the mystified looks on their faces. What the hell is this man on about? You know? And of course, as it goes on throughout this last couple of seasons, then you're hearing squeezing lemons in the changing rooms and all this business.
Not just that.
Samba music. You never walk alone kind of thing.
Not just that. It continues, mate. We got robbers, pickpockets.
Oh, that as well.
Yeah. We're not showing enough teeth, you know. We've got, dental experts.
Well, it's the A-frame presentation thing, and he draws a picture of a brain and this road and all this kind of thing. That was me. I am dead. Dead. But you and the fans have brought that life back to me again. And you think to yourself, wow.
Jesus Christ.
You're no philosopher, and you're coming out with, some kind of rumble kind of and hoping that people buy into this.
I call him Napoleon.
But then it's like when you play, I remember was it not last season, the season before, when I think you played Newcastle, and Newcastle, I think they won 3-0 in the end. And the camera pans around to him, and he's like this. And then he does this. Looks at the coaches, and they go.
I think I remember it. Oh, I don't know if you've ever seen Narcos, mate. I call it, the Pablo Escobar when he's in the swimming pool. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Totally baffled, mate. Do you know what I mean? And bro, sorry, continue.
But it's a case of you have got to kind of applaud him in certain respects, because obviously he does things in a certain way. He tries to be cryptic and mystic at the same time. I call it dark arts, because oh no, the players, he's not injured, he's not, and of course you don't see him for love nor money. Yep. The fact of he's got rid of players, if you don't fall under his remit, then you're out.
I'm glad you can see that from the outside in, but this is why I ask.
Guendouzi, for instance. Now that kid could have been something for Arsenal. He would have been your typical Arsenal player, because he had a bit of grit and determination, bit of doggedness about him. Because he says something, before you know it, he's sitting on the bench doing nothing. You got Balogun doing nothing kind of thing. You even had a point where you had Saliba shipped off kind of thing. You had Smith Rowe, Martinelli banished to the dark areas and didn't see them for a while kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then certain people coming in. But the Guendouzi thing was a strange one, because I thought, he's a typical Arsenal player. And not being funny, we all know Arteta was an okay player. He wasn't a great player for Arsenal.
I can't believe he was ever our captain. You know what I mean? But then for years, I think ever since Vieira, it's just not meant anything. We, as a club, we just give it to the next biggest player, Henry, Van Persie, Fabregas, in an attempt to try and make them stay, and they all left, and they all said the club lacked ambition. Sorry, mate, go on.
I'll say you missed that one. Your current captain.
Oh my God! Whoa. The floor is yours, mate. The floor is yours. No shoulder guard.
I have obviously have a lot of Liverpool Alchemy talking, because I figure they're coming up. There's obviously a lot of Arsenal fans I work with, and Odegaard. Oh, he's mustard. He's this and the other, and I go, no, he's bang average. What? How can you say about him and that? I said, not being funny, I know he's at Real Madrid and that, and of course it was hard to get through the ranks. But if you're that good, why are you shipped off to this club, that club, this club, that club? And if he was that good on loan, then surely they would have snapped him up.
Yeah.
And we've seen him in certain games. The problem with him is all this hair flicks thing. I'm sure he's sponsored by Red Bull and like give you wings because this business all the time. To my nerves.
Yeah.
And the same point is the fact that he kills your play sometimes.
Mm.
He brings the ball forward, and then before you know it, he either plays it back or he kind of it's tippy-tappy football. The back heel flicks. I mean, any player that I used to get doing that kind of thing, and I'll hook him off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look how many times he's been hooked. He's our captain, for God's sake, And I was saying it to a couple of friends and that the other day after the Palace game when Mateta's just folded him like origami. Do you know what I mean? And then the rest of the players must be looking at him, like arse hanging out in the air, like that's meant to be our captain, just crumpled on the floor. Do you know what I'm saying? While our goalkeeper is like acting like the corner flag or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just, look, with Odegaard, he's Marmite. You either like him or hate him. For me, I'm with you, mate. I think his biggest pass is backwards, 30%. Do you know what I mean? If you're looking at the percent, Lee Gunner did it the other day.
Yeah.
Aaron talks Arsenal. He always says, people listen with their eyes. He brought up the stats, and ever since then, he's right because that one just stayed in my head. 30% backwards. Now, when I watched him against Crystal Palace, and you're receiving the ball, and you're doing your tizzy, you're doing your electric, you're disrupting the play, you're slowing it down. People can get back into position. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're absolutely right with that, man. Yeah, let's keep the punches coming, man. Anything else you got?
Because the worst part about it when you look at like that on that game, look, I think everyone can agree you would sign someone like Mateta. You know what I'm saying? Because when obviously he got schooled, decked on the floor,
yeah.
Unfortunately, he gets away with a bye because where does all the blame go?
Raya.
Saliba. No,
Saliba as well. Yeah. A lot of our fans are blaming Raya as well, though.
That is. I'll come to that one. Yeah, I'll come to that one.
No worries.
But when you look at Saliba and that, I think we can all agree the kid's head's turned. He knows there's a.
Yeah,
that's Madrid. That's real. Yeah,
in the pew.
Exactly. Yeah,
yes,
you know what I mean. So that's one of those. They've just when they was there last time, just waft that around him, and
yeah.
And unfortunately, Odegaard gets away with it, and all the blame goes on to Saliba. And yes, I know the previous game he did a similar mistake before, kind of thing. But let's look at your keeper. Yeah, there's being a good keeper, and then there's being cocksure and overconfident. And this is where Reyes, unfortunately, is getting, because this is not the first time he's nearly got caught out. Because he thinks he's a baller.
We play 5 at the back.
Give it back to me in that. Yeah, I'm going to take the player one. Let me look it back out again. There's going to come a time he's going to get done. Excuse me.
No worries, mate.
So yeah, when you look at that, I think hopefully you'll learn from that now, and hopefully it's been knocked down a peg.
Well, I wanted to ask you quickly, just to quickly jump in. Sorry to stop you mid-flow. Do you think you think he's being coached to do that? Because I saw when Neto came in for his one appearance, he was doing the same thing. He's on the edge of his area. He almost handballed it with his dive outside the area. What a plonker, by the way. But do you think it's just something that he's kind of taken on himself, or do you think he's being coached into it?
Maybe a bit of both. Maybe a little bit of both. I think it's saying that he's kind of brought in himself because he just, I said, there's just this cockiness about him, and it's a case of like, yeah, you've managed to oust out Ramsdale, who was the number one at one point that did okay, and he's come in now. He's been given full guard and that, and full well, your second keeper and that, he's not getting a look in.
Yeah.
End of. It's always going to be Raya at the end of the day. So when you look at something like that, yeah, unfortunately, he's believing his own hype, and hopefully he's licking his wounds after seeing that.
You better be. He bloody bet, because that's the most erratic I've seen him all season now. And I have been looking at him of late, and Lee Gunn has been calling it out all year. He's going to get lobbed. He's going to get done. And lo and behold, so yeah, hopefully you're right, mate. Hopefully he is licking his wounds and learns from his bloody mistakes. But yeah, you're right, because in the fan base, it's Raya and Saliba that were the culprits. I mean, many of us, well, my side of the defense have been calling out no shoulder guard, and obviously the other side of the defense are kind of giving him a pass, as you said. And I feel like that's the culture that Arteta has been building at this club. Is that obvious from the outside looking in?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because when you look at it, Arteta does the same thing. Like I said, he tries that kind of deflect FC every now and then. And even when you've had a reasonable game, not to say a great game, what you see in the post-match conferences, Arteta always says, my players did this, my play. So he's trying to give that confidence thing all the time, which is not a bad thing to do. But let me go back to, for instance, the Chelsea game. Yeah. When you look at that game, which was poor from both teams, you won that 1-0. But this is where, if you look at it, your set-piece coach, which has been applauded for where most of your goals were coming from and that, and then suddenly you had this dry patch.
Yeah.
But you look at that game against Chelsea, what you're taught as a kid as basics is you've got to have your fullbacks on the posts and everyone else pick up everything else and the keeper does what he's doing. The fact that Sanchez is basically pushing, who is it now, as Party and SpongeBob, pushing him kind of thing, and leaves his goal exposed. But then you look at the reaction on the sideline, and they're all cock-a-hoop. He's going up to the goal, the set piece coach, and bigging him up, and it's like no. That's me looking at it as a coach point, manager and a coach point of view, because obviously that's what I used to do. So when you look at that side of things, I'm looking at for Chelsea and that. I mean, let's praise the Lord that me and you and people in the chat are not Chelsea fans, because that's different level.
That's different level, mate. It is different level, man. £1 billion bottle jobs, I called them, because there's obviously we get called that as well now. But one, we ain't hit $1 billion. Two, it's taken us half a decade to get there. And three, they've done it in one window. Do you know what I mean? Like if West Ham done $1 billion in one window, like I say, you'd be expecting them to win the lottery, for God's sake. Whatever you do in life, you'd expect them to win. But no, been brilliant to obviously hear your perspective. I always want to hear it from the outside looking in, and for other Arsenal fans in the chat, it's always refreshing to hear what it's like, to get it from the other side.
I mean, for what I will say, because obviously it's an English club and that, you want them to win that Champions League.
Really?
Because it'd be good for English football. Would be great.
See, because we're old school, but people don't think like that nowadays.
But on the flip side of that, this is coming.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, we will never hear the end of it.
You won't. It will be shameless, bro. And I mean, I'll try and keep it in check. I've always tried to, but there'll be certain people like Twitter. Boy, I don't think it's a real place, but if we win the Champions League, wow. I don't know if you've seen Stranger Things. It's going to turn into that. What do they call it? Underneath or whatever. It's going to be mental. Yeah.
Well, you'll have the Arteta sexuals kind of thing, and that man deserves a statue. Got to have a statue there, kind of thing. You have a statue for him.
Yeah. And Shane Gooner said it, George Graham deserves a statue, Vieira deserves a statue. I mean, I said it, I'll be the first in line, but it's like what do they call it? A turn the cheek, it's a phrase. I'm basically saying that if he wins it, cool, you can stay on, and then we'll go again. It's factory reset. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say nothing about a statue, but it's factory reset, because look, he won the FA Cup. He's got half a decade, with a team that weren't even really his.
Exactly.
So imagine if he wins the Champions League, mate. Do you think someone like me saying get him out? So you got to sometimes just go with he's done something that we haven't ever had as Arsenal fans. So for me, I'd say, all right, cool. Let's see what you do next season. Let's see how you continue to carry on. If we then go on and don't win again, then you know what I mean? It's what have you done for me lately? Very much.
True.
Very much.
Let's just say big up to all the people in the chat. And I was just seeing Ian Wood's comment there. Best player we've seen at West Ham, Di Canio is one of them. There's no two ways about it. Seen some great, you've had Billy Bonds in there. You've got Trevor Brooking in there. The list is endless. As you know, with some of the Arsenal people, you can say the exact thing. I mean, like, Henry, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, that's one thing you can say with the likes of Wenger, because you've got to think Dennis Bergkamp and Henri, they were doing nothing where they were before.
Mm.
Yeah, they dried up. They
Mm.
come to Arsenal and then hit the ground running and went on from there,
Yep.
So when you look at it like that, that you've got to applaud. The only thing I say about Henri and that when he come to the end of his career with you guys and he signed that contract, you could just tell he made a mistake. He didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
And he was,
No, I mean, they all come out and said it was the lack of ambition by the club because they found themselves in a position that they didn't really, no one thought this guy's going to come over from Grampus 8 and, turn English football upside down, challenge probably the best English manager in the Premier League history of Alex Ferguson. Do you know what I mean? And that's basically what he did. Like I said, when I was growing up, my school life was all right. Do you know what I'm saying? We were doing doubles, we went invincible, we had Henri. People are scared to play us, mate. Like,
absolutely.
it was. So that's what I've come from. So when we said, we're moving from Highbury, this is what we're kind of expecting, sort of thing. So, but yeah, anyway, look, I know I always kind of end up neglecting the chat. We've got to the 50-minute mark, so I am kind of trying to leave this section for the chat. We'll kind of get into it. If there is any questions like Ian Woos, get them in for Tony, and we'll kind of just round up with that. So, like I said, big up Aaron Talks Arsenal. He's been in the building. Big up Shane as well. He said, I always had a soft spot for West Ham. Big up Shane Gooner, man. Very knowledgeable. Make sure you're going to subscribe to Shane. AFC always is in the building. Views and Tony, big up. Apologies for being late to watch Eubank Junior versus Conor Ben weigh in. Well, let us know how that gone because I ain't seen none of that, to be honest with you. Big up Akers. He said Lee Gunner gonna struggle with negotiations with Sullivan on transfer.
100% on the ISIS. Yeah, definitely agree on that.
Yeah, well, there you go. Lee Gunner, man. Big up Lee Gunner. Asa says, Tony, you forgot Bristol Rovers tractor supporter.
Yeah, that's Anthony, the Arsenal guy that comes on the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, right.
His team he likes is Bristol City, but we love winding him up with Bristol Rovers.
Right. Okay. So that's a little inside joke there. Inside, yeah. Big up, man. Big him up as well. Big up AFC always. He said Eubank got to make weight. I think we read that one. Tomorrow morning, or that's another 375k fine. So is that been hold on? So he's gonna be fined what, 100k for not making weight, and then the 375 if he goes again?
Then 375 again.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's probably most of his purse, let's be honest. I reckon they're probably, well, I don't know, I'm not gonna say only a million or two, I don't know, but I wouldn't say it's too much higher of that.
Exactly, because I would say, his dad can bail him out, but his dad went broke as well. So what's
exactly, mate. So they're going to be in big trouble, man. They're stinging him badly, man. That's crazy to believe. Bigger AFC always again. He said Ring Magazine belt on the line. Okay,
okay, thank you. Yeah, good.
Okay, so that isn't jeopardized now that he's failed to make weight. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. Big up Gary. Sorry, mate. Gary. Yeah, big up Gary, man. Don't waste a tweet. Make sure you guys go over there and support Gary, showing some love. We've got Rashid in the building. Big yourself up, mate. Hope you are well. Said, what's good views? Big up to the Hammers. Yeah, man. Big up Hammers TV. Make sure you guys are all going to subscribe to Tony as well. Make sure that he gets to 1K ASAP. And Rashid as well. Arsenal Revolution TV. Go and show him some love, doing big things. Big up Ian Wu saying, yes, everyone, I do apologize. Like I said, it is a one-on-one, so we get to the guests first. AFC says 1981 Trevor Brookins scored against us. Wow, AFC is always good with the trivia. I'm not the biggest of historians, you know me and my little habits and my short-term memory and that, but I am an avid Arsenal fan, but I like football as well. But I mean, what do you think of this? I mean, do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like when I have the background, I often put the three players behind them with the cup in their hand, kind of thing. Jez goes ballistic over it. Then I've got the old C-Facts thing showing you, Arsenal 1, Neil, West Ham 1.
Oh, look.
So, yeah, it's good to wind you up in that respect. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at it, the fact that Brookin, it looked like he literally was on the floor and it hit his head and it's gone in and that was it.
I mean, I'm George Orwell, mate. I'm an 84 baby, so I don't even think I was a glitter in the daddy's eye when that happened. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, big up Brookin, man. He's definitely a top person, man, regardless of who he played for. Yeah, look, AFC light bulb. Yep, Arteta a lunatic. That was the. The funny thing is, I didn't watch the whole thing. It was so embarrassing. Like this kind of only way is Arsenal that they're kind of building at the moment is. it does me head in. But anyway, AFC says only player from that FA Cup win is Tierney. Can't believe he's leaving. Yeah, bro. Yeah, the best left back at our club. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, obviously Skelly's doing a brilliant job. What do you make of that?
I mean, I like Tierney. I mean, again, another one. Obviously, injury, kind of hampered him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said earlier, once you fall out of that pecking order with Arteta and that, it's a long hill to climb up to get back up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you see that he's only kind of getting bit parts now. So I can understand.
I'm really ashamed of the treatment he's getting, to be honest. Like, he's at the right age. He's got a mean cross on him. He's not on all this crap inverting. Do you know what I mean? So he gives Martinelli some balance as well. So yeah, as an Arsenal fan, I'm sad to see him go. Big at AFC always again. He said the season when we were 8 points clear, 22-23, Arteta let the shackles off and you saw the difference. Now he's got the players locked. Yeah. And I think it's easy to see even from the outside. It's robotic. You're seeing it. Look at Meg Sterling the other day. Every time he got the ball, his first thing was to turn back. And do you know what I mean? So is that something that's easily seen from the outside as well, mate?
Most definitely. I mean, we all know that Sterling he's literally finished. And not being funny, it kind of rings of Willian. You signing Willian, and the only reason why Willian come and signed you guys is because you offered him a 3-year contract, where Chelsea said we're only going to give you a 2, and he wanted the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So he come to you in that, and then stank the place out.
Yeah, left with a beer belly and that. Yeah, crazy. We promised him the Champions League in 3 seasons, I think. Imagine that. Do you know what I mean? Wow. Imagine him for believing it as well. But there you go. I think I read that one. Big up Rashid. He says, yes, AFC. Okay, so guys bigging up each other in the chat. Bigging up Aces. Shane, big up. Don't waste a tweet. Ian, everyone showing each other love. That's what we like to see. AFC saying Raya only doing what this manager is telling him to do, and that coming out and well, listen, I don't remember him doing it as much at the start of the season. That's why I'm a little bit like, well, if it was going to be something new implemented, then, or maybe that's because when we started getting injuries, he's trying to mix things up. I don't know. Maybe that's me giving him too much credit because he always looks clueless to me, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think we got Tony's opinion about that earlier. He said a little bit of both. I'm kind of leaning on the fact that he is being told to do that, and it's just another reason to be upset with Lego Head, in my humble opinion. AFC always bigging up Rashid again. Big up, bro. Ian Wu, best player you've seen at West Ham. Decania, I think you did answer that, didn't you? Yeah. Big up, why not? Welcome in, mate. He says big up Views and Tony. Big yourself up. Don't waste a tweet. Everyone's saying hello. Big up Gary Rashid. Okay, let's see if there is anything else of note. No, it looks like that's ending out there. So yeah, man. Obviously we're coming close to the hour. Seems like a good place to round out. Anything you got coming up, mate?
So obviously Sunday will be the Sunday night takeaway show again. And then coming up to the next week, it will be the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then obviously the West Ham review yet again. And anything in between, I might do some post-match reviews on the game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do a pre-match. I'll be out tomorrow. But other than that, yeah. And like I said to you, where you do this one under the lens, I've got a kind of dust off spotlight.
Yeah.
Bring it back out again. And been doing that as well.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'd love to jump on whenever you're ready, mate. Like, I'm always here for you. In terms of West Ham, what's your next fixtures?
Brighton is the next game.
Oh goodness, is that Premier League? Yeah,
Premier League. So
Premier League. Are you home or away, mate?
We're away for that one, I do believe. We're away at the Amex.
And what's your prediction for that?
I'd like to say that we've got a chance of getting something out of it, but we are West Ham. Brighton.
It's always funny, man. Sorry to just jump in. You know what I mean? Like, you can always pop up with a crazy result. So
true, but look at how Brighton's form has been lately, yeah, and then that rocks West Ham. So you can see that actually. There you go. And I also used to joke about us as a West Ham fan. It's like every player used to have a roll of red carpet underneath their armpit. So when they played certain teams, it's case of roll out the carpet. There's a goal. Just go and help yourself.
Just go and help yourself. Oh, mate.
But yeah, looking at what we've got coming up, we've got Brighton, and then we have the mighty Spuds on the
The
fourth line.
mighty Spurs. Well, you got a good chance, mate.
It's the
You got
same.
a good chance, yeah. You know,
At the
they've already
16th,
lost.
as someone said yesterday, then I mean, this just kind of shows you the form we've kind of got run into. So we've got actually Brighton, then we've got Spuds, then it's Man United. So you never know. It could be a good old 6-pointer, 9-pointer going on.
It could be. It very
Then
much could be with the way they're playing this season.
we have Forest. So that's
Oh, yeah. We might need you guys to do us a favor.
you know what I mean. And then the last one of the season is away to Ipswich.
Okay, so a couple of tricky games in there. Couple of tricky games could go either way. But yeah, like I said, we're hoping and praying that you guys do us a favor, because Nottingham Forest, they're like that annoying spider, man. They just keep crawling up that drain pipe, man, getting on my nerves. So Wolfie on Never a Foul, got my eyes on you, mate. Big yourself up, man. Let me just finish off with these comments. Big up Why Not? He's bigging up everyone. 4-0 down. Big yourself up, my bro. Hope you are well this evening. Saying big up views, Hammers TV, obviously the chat. He also says, been watching on my TV. Thought I'd drop a comment to social support before I put my phone back down. Cheers, mate. Always appreciated. He normally joins me for the watch alongs.
Yes.
Make sure you go and subscribe to 4-0 down as well. And of course, my guest Tony, and of course in the house, Mama Flossie. Big yourself up.
Hi, Mama.
Well, man. Hope you are well this evening. Thank you for joining. Unfortunately, we are about to close, but you can get it on playback. Like I said, man, thank you ever so much, Tony, for joining me for Under the Lens. Make sure you guys are all going over and showing him some love, man. Nearly 1K. Let's help him get there as soon as possible. Any last words, mate?
No, it's been great being on this. It's been an enjoyable one, and for all the people in the chat, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. And as you know, it all helps as they say, the algorithms and looking after views. Obviously, he's doing some amazing work at the moment, and we love your comments. Keep it coming.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, man. Listen, chat, we'll be back again with another West Ham fan. GVO Mikes, he'll be up next at 9 o'clock. But this was Under the Lens. This is Hammers Football TV. Tony, thank you once again, mate. And we will see you all again soon, people. Peace.
Take care, everyone.